Hello again to all of you out there. I'm Villain, and this is Vivi, and I'm back for another round of pickups videos. This time I'm covering June 2026. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so once again with how I have this set up, I can't show you this very easily, but I got another CRT, another PVM. This is a much smaller one. This is a little 8-inch. Uh, but it's so dang cute, I couldn't help but also pick it up. I have tested it out a little bit, and I found some use cases for it that are actually kind of helpful. I guess while I'm talking, I can try to angle this a little bit better. There, we'll keep it like this, even though it's upside down. I also got a PC CRT, and the reason I did that is because I wanted something that could handle 480p, 720p, basically anything over 480i, and I didn't want to spring for a multi-format PVM. In hindsight, I'm thinking I'm okay with the decision I made, but I'm thinking that maybe I should have gone with the multi-format PVM, because getting 480p on a PC CRT is not quite as easy as you might think. Yes, you can transcode component video to VGA with relative ease, but the part that I really failed to consider is that, say for example, you're using a Nintendo GameCube, you need a different output um, that can handle 480i for when you boot the GameCube and then boot the game, and then you select that you want to enable 480p, and then you need to switch it to your PC CRT. And if the first monitor you're using, like this one for example, can't support 480p, then like you have to exclusively use one or the other. You have to switch monitors. So it's like turn on using 480i. Now switch to 480p. Now switch to using the PC CRT. That's kind of a hassle, but it's doable, especially on the GameCube because it has dual video outputs. So you can just route like one to this little one on the side, which is kind of handy, and then the other to the PC CRT. But what's a hassle I'm learning is like, so recently I'm playing Gran Turismo 4 on the PlayStation 2, and that game is way more obnoxious about it than I realized. So you boot up the PS2, it's in 480i, same story so far. You go into the game, it's still 480i. You can enable 480p, and then if you wanted to, you could switch the cables over your PC CRT. You don't get dual outputs like on the GameCube, unfortunately. But you could switch it and be like, okay, now I'm playing, that's fine. That's what I thought. But no, you can't do that because after every race, it reverts back to 480i for the menus. So you would have to, in my particular setup anyway, I would have to switch the cables back to my little monitoring 480i PVM after every race and then switch it back to the PC CRT for every race. So I'm just playing it in 480i on my 13-inch PVM, and I'm trying out my consumer CRT today a little bit too. And it looks fine. I just didn't, these are all the things that I didn't really consider. But while we're on that topic, kind of just talking about electronics and stuff, I did pick up a Toro box again. This is for the same purpose of using VGA on the PC CRT. I got this. I used to have one in the past. I was trying to use some transcoders, but I was having a little bit of trouble with it, getting it to work. Apparently, my PC CRT is backfeeding some voltage, which is making some strange things happen. I had to change the sync switch to the lower position, and I forget which position stands for which. It's RGBHV versus RGBHS, and like the position it comes in, one on, is supposed to be the normal one that most CRTs will work, and the bottom one is one that most won't use. The bottom one seems to be the only position that works for me because of the backfeeding voltage issue from my CRT that's like scanning for a signal. But my CRT is also one of the few that apparently works in that lower position, so I really lucked out there. So this still works. But yeah, little things here and there you don't really consider with CRTs. But anyway, this one's super adorable. I'm still really happy to have it. I do intend to use it sometimes. I'd love to like set it up and like capture like gameplay footage and uses B-roll or something. But who has the time? I have the time if I make time. But anyway, moving on to the rest of the stuff now. And I also got a Dreamcast. So I already have a Dreamcast with a GDEMU installed. However, I'm having trouble with it recently, where I'll play games for a few minutes and then they'll kind of the Dreamcast will restart to the regular Dreamcast menu, which I'm reading is probably something with the power supply pins that I need to clean. So I ordered a new power supply, and while I was at it, I was kind of browsing shells. I was looking at the retro.cool shells by Yoe. I'm not sure how you pronounce their name. And there are some nice, like, Code Veronica style ones um, that I wanted to get for my Dreamcast. But my Dreamcast shell was actually really nice and not yellowed at all. So it felt like kind of a shame to reshell that one. So I bought a new one. Well, a used one. This one can't read discs, and on the top it's not too bad, but the front is yellowing quite a bit. It's not actually showing up on the camera too badly, but it's you'll have to trust me. It's not as pristine as the one I have. So what I think I'll do is I will. This disk drive doesn't work, but I have the disk drive from my GDEMU one, and that one does work. So I'm going to take the GDEMU out, put it into this one, probably swap the power supply. And when I say put it into this one, I just mean combine it all together, because I'm planning to move all of this to the Code Veronica shell. And then I will just put the original working disk drive back into my Dreamcast in the nice clean shell. And yeah, that should be fun to do, but it's going to be a bit before I get the shell. Once I get it, I'll show you. Okay, next up, as has been the trend lately, I got some N-Gage stuff to talk about. Puzzle Bobble here, which is always a fun game to have on any platform. In great shape. This I bought from a seller that had something else. You may notice it's the Australian version here. I had also purchased the Australian exclusive Sega Rally Championship for N-Gage, which I was kind of excited about, even though it's not a super well-reviewed game. It is a rare one, but I do like racing games, and I was excited to add that to my collection. However, they had described the label as perfect, and this one is fine. But when I checked the back of the label for Sega Rally Championship, it had very clear water damage stains, like ripples, and it had a lot of like foxing and dirt and other stuff like that. And again, they described the label as, quote, perfect. So I did not agree with that and decided to send it back, which is kind of a bummer, but I'll look out for another copy one day. I also got High Seas, the ESRB North American version, which looks like it's in great shape. I'm happy to have that. It's got a boat strategy RPG game, and it's got some really like over-the-top looking characters and cutscenes. And I also got this big fancy collection of stuff for Rift's Promise of Power, which is a game I've been interested in adding to my collection. I've just been kind of looking out for one, and this like collection of a bunch of interesting stuff came up. Until now, the only ones I could see on eBay were sealed ones that were commanding a pretty high price, and some that were even signed by the creator, like of Rifts, Kevin Simbieta, however you say his name. And I didn't really want to pay that premium because I do want a copy that I can just open and play. And this one was originally listed a little high, and then it was discounted like $200 or something. And the reason I went with it, it does have a sealed copy of the game, yes, but it also came with this gold review sample. So this is open, and I could play this, which is it's also just a little nice, neat thing to have. And I've also got this this Rifts book came with it. I haven't actually flipped through this yet. It's like how the Rifts game works, I guess. Really cool. Now, I'm not familiar with Rifts as a property, but the game looks cool, and I'd love to play it. I did see that there was a Kickstarter about a year ago that finished. They're apparently bringing it back, but it looks like they did not reach the stretch goal to reinstate the original graphics. So I still wanted to have an N-Gage copy. But yeah, that should be it for N-Gage for now. feel like I say this every time, so you'll have to forgive me if I already covered this, but I don't think this one made it in time for last time's video. This is a GBA lot that I purchased. I mostly got the GBA because it's in really great shape. A couple of light scratches, but pretty clear. Oh, glad that didn't fall. I mostly got it because I wanted an unmodded one to play on. As usual, we're going to take these out. Don't want to store it with batteries in it. And it did come with some games, but that wasn't really the reason I bought it or anything. Although it did come with one pretty cool game. You know, Cabela's Big Game Hunter. No, not that one. Woods, not that one either. Golden Sun. Yeah, I'm happy to have a copy of Golden Sun again. That's really cool. Namco Museum. That's all that came in there. It's nice that it has a carrying case too. Put that back away. Oh yeah, a couple of them have manuals. I don't think Golden Sun did. Let's see, there's Tiger Woods and, oh, for the GBA itself. So no, they didn't keep the Golden Sun manual for some reason. Or at least they didn't keep it in here. Yeah, that's cool. I'm increasingly interested in unmodded consoles. Like, the mods are great and all, but I kind of like, you know, playing on the original screens too. Which is why I have this WonderSwan, which at first glance is in pretty good shape, but it's a little bit worse than I was hoping it was. This was an auction I bid on. It was also a lot. I forgot to grab the games. Let me grab those. But this screen is a bit rough. These are all pretty light, so when you're playing, you don't really see them. But man, it has more than I thought it had. It's also a bit more yellow on the back than I expected, which may not be showing up super well on the camera, but overall I'm still pretty happy with it, especially since it came with 3 complete in-box games for its price. It's around like $200, which is usually about how much you pay for a decent condition WonderSwan by itself. So I'm not complaining too much, but I am complaining a little bit, just because I thought I was getting a better deal. But yeah, let me grab the games that came with it. Once I get this back in the box. Nothing too crazy. There's one that I'm pretty happy to have, but the rest are kind of your normal fare. Okay, there we go. Yeah, these batteries out of the way too. So Chocobo's Dungeon. I have an English reproduction of this, I'm pretty sure already. And WonderSwan Coliseum, or excuse me, One Piece Swan Coliseum. And this is the one that was probably the coolest to get, because this game looked really cool to me. Jajamaro. It looks really fun, it's really cute, I like the art. I don't think you really need much Japanese knowledge to play it either, so these complete in-box games really added to the value, which helps a lot, given the condition it arrived in. And I also wanted to talk about this. I remember mentioning this little guy. This is a Pokemon Mini, the official Pokemon Center Wooper Charm. I mentioned I had a Pokemon Mini that I bought in the past, and it had one of these on it, and I didn't think much of it, and I sold it in the past. And now I'm realizing that the Wooper Charm is pretty dang hard to find. So I had been monitoring marketplaces for one, and I saw one pop up for like $40, and I grabbed it immediately. I'm really happy to have it for that price. Look at that guy. He's so cute. Yeah, so happy to add that too. Let's keep going. Moving right along here, I picked this up, Artanelico 2. I already had the first Artanelico game, PS2, but I saw the second one pop up for a pretty decent price, and I decided to grab it. Happy to have that now as well. A few more systems that I only picked up a couple things for. This is Card Fighters Clash. Card Fighters DS, I think it's called, like SNK versus Capcom Card Fighters DS. There, I think that's the name. I used to have this game on DS long before I had a Neo Geo Pocket. I thought it was pretty fun, and it's kind of like a sequel to the Card Fighters Clash games on Neo Geo Pocket. I learned something about it recently that it actually has a game-breaking bug. If you talk to a character named John, and they had to do a physical cart like re-release. Some were released at retail, or you could contact SNK and you could get a replacement. I believe that's what the one here indicates, but you can also tell by the background being black and white that it's one of the fixed versions. So I just decided to go ahead and grab one of those. And rockin' pretty. This is a game I used to have that I let go, and I don't know why I let go of it because this really speaks to me. It's like I like rhythm games, I like cute games, so I feel like it needed to stay in my collection, so I rectified that mistake and bought another copy. And also, this game, this is an Otome game, Virche Evermore, Error Salvation. This game is surprisingly difficult to find. I don't know why. The prices have not really spiked yet, but I had to search, wait for weeks for a copy to even pop up to be able to buy of the US version. It comes with these little cards, reversible cover art. So when one did pop up, I decided to jump on it immediately. And, after I had been waiting a couple weeks and I bought one, another one that was sealed popped up. I really considered just getting that one too. Um, but I just decided to at least wait on it and someone else got it. And that would have been a little silly to do. So I'm glad someone got it. But yeah, I'm waiting to see if the price of this maybe spikes up because the potential is there. And I also got a Switch 2 game recently. I got Star Fox. Switch 2. I love the original Star Fox. I don't think the game is in here. Nope. Oh, they still do the... I didn't even notice this when I opened it before. They still do the art on the other side. That's cool. Yeah, this is in my Switch 2 at the moment. I already played through it. I got both endings. I played every level at least once. It's a great game. Really love it. My one note would be I like the original's voice acting a little bit better. It's really over the top and exaggerated, and I feel like that was kind of lacking a little bit in this one, but overall, what a cool game. Really happy to have that. And as usual, I've got some Neo Geo Pocket stuff to get through, since that's a big thing I've been collecting for lately. I got one of these for a very fair price. I don't think the person that was listing it knew what they were listing. This is the ESRB version of Bust-A-Move Pocket, but it is the clamshell version. US release games are typically not in clamshells. They are in the cardboard boxes instead. However, a few early release US games were released in clamshells before they changed it. It doesn't have the plastic like dust protector thing, so I'll have to get one of those, but they just listed it for normal Bust-A-Move Pocket price, so I grabbed it immediately because they are quite rare. Cool Borders Pocket, which is a pretty rare game that I was happy to add to my growing European and otherwise Neo Geo Pocket color collection. Metal Slug First Mission, just a standard European copy. I think this one, I'm not going to open it actually. The manuals, all the different language manuals are kind of tough to get in there at once, and it's also missing the dust cover, but it's in there. You have to trust me. Or don't, that's fine. Dark Arms. This is one that I have a US cardboard release of, but again, I like the European clamshells, so I decided to go for that one. And I'm thinking I probably talked about these last time because I mentioned getting a bundle of games. So sorry if I'm kind of double dipping on the discussion, but this was someone was selling a Neo Geo Pocket system that included three games with it. Oh, we got the same manual problem here. And the first picture did not show the games. It was just a picture of the system, so I don't think people really noticed that it was coming bundled with a lot of games, and some of those were pretty valuable. But that's the main reason I picked it up, was for the games. So I got an SNK Gals Fighters. So I have the US copy now. I have the two Japanese versions, the clamshell and the cardboard, and now I've got the European clamshell as well. Only kind of bummer is the spine. You can tell from the colors here is a little sun faded, which I don't love. It's really not bad at all, and you would only really notice it if you were comparing side by side like this or really looking for it. But thankfully the front is totally fine, the back is totally fine. So I'm a little bummed that that wasn't really disclosed or noticed or discounted for that reason. But it was an auction, and I won it at lower than all of the other asking prices, so it's fine. This is the Japanese clamshell for Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection, Volume 1. This does not have anything in it. It's just a holder. You can put a Switch cartridge over here, and it also holds a Neo Geo Pocket game over here. Pix and Love also did a release that included this. There are collector's editions and deluxe editions, and they come with like reproduction covers for the Neo Geo Pocket games that go on here, and you can kind of like, if you just had a loose cart, for example, you could pop it in here and put in one of the reproduction covers, which I think is really cool. I had purchased one of those from someone for a pretty good price, but it never shipped. I gave them 5 weeks, and they just never responded to my messages, and it never shipped, so I had to go through eBay and get it canceled. But I saw this go up individually, and it's the part that it's part of the main thing I'm interested in. I was also interested in the reproduction covers, but I really like the clamshell cases, as you can tell. So I decided to grab that, since I hadn't seen the Japanese one pop up before, so I decided to go for it. All right, next up, I'll go through 3DS and Dreamcast. I think everything in this stack came from eStarland. So Need for Speed The Run on 3DS, which looked like a lot of fun to me. There's something about just like scaled down, not super polished racing games that really appeals to me. Rodea the Sky Soldier. I had the Wii U and Wii version. I decided to get the 3DS version too, just kind of complete that collection. And speaking of flying games, Ace Combat, Assault Horizon Legacy. This looked pretty fun. I've never played it. Excited to give that a chance one day. Makken X. It's like a Shin Megami Tensei style first-person action game for the Dreamcast, which looks really cool. Really happy to have that too. I don't have many physical Dreamcast games at all currently. I only have this one, and I have Ghost Blade. It's the only other one I have. But you know, since I've got that extra Dreamcast, I'm planning to move my GDEMU one to a new shell, and then revive one with the original disk drive. So I'll be able to play some physical Dreamcast games soon if I'd like to, which sounds fun to me. Okay, moving along. Not much for the PS5 this month, but I got a couple of things. R-Type Tactics 1-2 Cosmos. I had this on pre-order for a very long time, but it was the Xbox version. The Xbox version unfortunately got canceled right before release, so I had to switch that to a PS5 version. But it's a little R-Type's Tactics game, and it looks really cool. I'm excited to have it, even if it's on PS5. Caligula Effect Overdose. I had a digital copy of this, but I did not have a physical, so I decided to go grab a physical. And Iridian 2. This is another one that popped up on eStarland while I was browsing, and it was notable because it was complete in box. And nice to know, eStarland, if you buy, I assume they do it for all cardboard games. They give you a little box protector they ship it in. That's really nice. But I haven't played Iridian 2. I played Iridian 1. It was one of the games I got when I first picked up my GBA. I'm really happy to have that, and I want to check it out. And I also got this because someone was selling it and they had it for a pretty good price. And I was like, well, I'm not sure. I watched it. And then they sent a pretty sizable discount offer. It's kind of automatically. I didn't ask for one or anything. And I decided to go for it. I already have the US release of this, but I was really intrigued by the crystal thing that's included. It reminds me of those things you see at the mall. They're always trying to sell you. I don't know if malls still have them. I haven't been to a mall in a while, but these like 3D sort of effect crystal things, which is pretty cool. I was thinking I could just stick this in on a display case with some figures, figgies, as I like to say. And it came with a little art book too. Whoa. Cool. Just flip that for you. Probably my favorite. Well, I don't know. I really like Ignis too. Yeah, those two are my favorite, Muramasa and Ignis. Cool. Yeah, that's that for that short little pile of games. Let me get this back in the box. I guess I could stop filming while I do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'll be back in a second. Okay, next up, a little Wii U, Xbox 360, and Xbox Series. And that'll be pretty much the end of it, I think. Yeah, I think that should be the end of it once we get through this. I'm finally buying less every month, which I know this is still a lot, but it's finally trending down a bit. But yeah, this is the, as you can see, the limited run release of Net Returns. Just thought it was really pretty. I don't have a way to play Sega CD, if I'm being honest. At least not a physical media. I do have the EverDrive, which can do it, but not an actual Sega CD or CDX or anything. This is a game I used to have that I sold when I was downsizing, and I kind of regretted it because it seemed really cool. I'm honestly not a big Zelda fan, but if I played one, it would be this one. This one I do want to play. I want to give it a fair shake, and maybe it will turn me into a Zelda fan. I think this is a really cool addition. It's a game that for now is still stranded on Wii U. I have seen that there are some seemingly credible rumors that Nintendo has basically finished a Switch port of it. They just haven't released it yet. So I was really expecting that to get released with the Nintendo Direct that happened right after I bought it, but it didn't. That was an Ocarina of Time remake, which is great. Funky Barn? I only recently learned about this game. It looks silly, and I'm into buying things for the Wii U recently. So I got it. That's pretty much that. Bayonetta 2, the one that includes Bayonetta. I do also own this on Switch too, but again, since I've just been into getting Wii U stuff lately, I decided to get it again. This is actually the version I played. I've played through Bayonetta 2, and I played through it on the Wii U. I have not replayed it on Switch, and I still haven't played Bayonetta 1 yet, actually, either. But happy to have that. It's a cool piece of Wii U history. NASCAR Unleashed. Honestly, I saw Metal Jesus and Reggie talking about this, and it looked freaking great. I've ignored most of the NASCAR racing games, but this just looks like a silly arcade racing game, which is definitely something I want to check out. So happy to pick that up too. Need for Speed the Run. In addition to picking it up on 360, 3DS, I decided to pick it up on 360 as well. It looks like a really silly Need for Speed game, and I'm interested in giving it a shot. And Sacred 2 Remaster. I actually didn't know that this came out. Sacred 2 is a game that I bought, on launch day, and honestly didn't play too much on my Xbox 360. I tried it for a few hours, but I didn't get too far. I always liked the idea of picking it up and continuing, and I didn't know that there was a physical. It was apparently an Amazon exclusive. I only saw it because the Switch version recently came out. So when I was kind of researching what versions existed, I saw that there was an Amazon exclusive Xbox version and decided to go ahead and grab that. And that's it for that stack, and I think we're actually done all around. And before I go, I want to talk a little bit about what I've been playing. I tend to forget that step a lot, actually, in these videos. But over the past month, I have gotten a bit more into spending my time actually playing games again. I was in kind of a funk in the months prior and hadn't been playing too many. But from my system where I decide what games to play, which I think I still have. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah. So this I played Screamer and then Tunia. And next up was A Witch's Tale, and I'm actually, since I finished that, I'm on to Gran Turismo 4 now. But yeah, I played. Oops, I hid the wrong thing. There we go. I played entirely through this game. It was a really cool, fun, little, unique game. I do not think that it needed to be stylus only. That was driving me a little bit crazy. The maps in the game were absolutely driving me insane. There were so many times where I'd be wandering the world and the map, it doesn't show your position on the map, it just shows you the chunk that you walked into, and it doesn't clearly show you where the unexplored paths are. So you kind of have to like wander around the edges and make sure you've found every direction you can go in. There were so many times I thought I had explored everything, only to find out that there was a big chunk of the map I had just missed. Without the guides online and the maps, like on game FAQs, game facts, I would not have made it through this game. And I'm not sure how much I loved it. It was definitely cool and unique. So I'm still happy I played it. The art and the character design is incredible. Um, but it was very slow paced, and the exploration was definitely pretty frustrating at times. But I'm done with it now, and I'm still happy I played it. The other thing I had been playing, I already told you about, was the Star Fox re-release on Switch 2. I played through that as well. And lately I've been going into Gran Turismo 4, which has been a great excuse to use some of my new CRTs. As I mentioned, it's been a learning experience for me about how the game supports 480p, but if you enable that, it only does it in races, and then it goes back to 480i in the menus, which is a little crazy. The other problem I frequently have with Gran Turismo is I'm used to in racing games the cycle of like repeating races to get credits, and then you get a new car or you upgrade your car. But in Gran Turismo, there's a bit more of an expectation for you to like kind of go in and manually change some things. So what I'm talking about is I'll ramp up the power of the car and reduce the weight because those will give me the biggest improvements. But then I'll get on the track and I'll notice that my wheels are spinning um, a lot from all the power, and there are other like fine tuning adjustments you have to do that I, without being a car person, do not have really any idea how to proceed with. So I have to like look up guides and stuff like you need to change the weight distribution and you need to change the length of the gears. I do not enjoy doing all of that stuff, but just playing an old PS2 sim style racing game is really fun, and on a CRT it looks amazing. But yeah, the other things I've kind of got going on that I'm not really prepared to show you right now, but in the future I'd like to show you are things I've done kind of in service of the CRTs I have. So I have a like a mobile cart that I've built. The CRT I'm playing on goes on that, and then I wheel it out into the living room so I can play on the couch. And then at the end of the day, I roll it back here, back into my game room slash office, and kind of store it away. So that way I don't have to have a permanent CRT set up. I also, there's a bit of a transition, like an inch and a half for this room. So I've got like a rubber ramp that's pretty cool to smooth that out. And I also researched and found some storage solutions. I got a wire rack shelf that I can put the CRTs that I'm not using onto it, put like a little plastic liner on top of it, so I can put them all there when I'm not using them. And yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe show that off one day too. Again, not really ready to do it right now. Apart from that, I'm considering getting a display case because I have a lot of handhelds. And usually what I do is I find like a pouch for them. So I put them in like a protective pouch and then I put them in a plastic bin. And I've fallen kind of behind on that where like there are a lot of pouches I need to buy. And pouches are pretty expensive when you need to buy that many. And I was just thinking, it's like, well, I could just get a display case and then I could just display them in the display case, and then whichever one I want to play, I could take it out and put it in the pouch, and that would protect it. And I think that's probably what I'll do. I don't know how soon I'll do that, but yeah, that's probably in the works. I'll be happy to show that off to you once I get it done too. Other thing I'm about to do is probably get some speakers for the CRT cart because the PVM speakers are a little wimpy, but it's kind of cool to have that crunchy, crappy audio in a way while playing a retro game. I don't mind it so much. So maybe a set of magnetically shielded speakers to put on the, I got like some drop leaves on the side that can hold speakers. That or like a little headphone amp so that I could actually use headphones there instead. Something like that. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got going on there. And yeah, I guess I'll just transition to the outro right here. Alright, this is when Vivi gets sleepy. Yep, there she goes. Alright, well, Vivi's gonna doze off to her nap now. And I am rudely keeping her awake by continuing to talk about this topic. So I'm gonna sign off now. Thank you again for joining me and letting me just talk about the cool stuff I found and the cool stuff I bought. I hope you found something that was interesting or maybe enjoyed it as background noise. Again, that's how I typically consume these types of things myself. But yeah, once again, I'm Villain. This is Vivi. Take care. Goodbye.